This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Tournament Odyssey in the south. As the red nod, this is BikeRushOwnz. And in the north, as the cyan nod, this is Futurama. Who is playing with a little like text emoji, text emoticon, Smurf. Tournament Odyssey, one of those popular new-ish maps, one of those community-made maps that players really seem to play a lot. They really seem to dig it. 2 tib spikes, pretty easy captures for both players. 3 squads for the anti-scout from Futurama. 2 squads from BikeRush here on the left side. Sometimes you will see players also go for these defensive towers relatively early in the game. You know, sometimes if you're Futurama spawning in the north, you'll go for this one to kind of deny or delay BikeRush's third base. First bike on the way. A couple of bikes right out of the gate from both players, actually. Slightly faster here for Futurama. And second refinery up and running for Futurama. Powers down the first one. BikeRush now getting his additional bikes out. There's his extra power plant, and no pack up of the MCV just yet. He is going to get out a couple more bikes. I assume it's going to be a harvester at some point. He's got himself his 4 bikes and his buggy heading out across the map. So he's going to do battle relatively early on against Futurama, who's already moved his MCV over to that third base location. 4 bikes in the south for Futurama, a couple of scouting squads as well. He catches the MCV. Nope, no real damage done. And we'll have to see. It's going to be 4 versus 4, but the buggy is here as well. There are going to be Scorpion tanks to respond. 1 harvester almost certainly will go down. It's going to be close, and Futurama doesn't pull it. He doesn't try and dance around the building. He doesn't try and get repairs. Nothing. So a little bit of a giveaway there by Futurama. BikeRush responding similarly, although I think... well, never mind. That's pretty much cleaned up. He gets some repairs on this harvester. I may have missed a harvester death. It may be 1-to-1, but BikeRush was a little bit slower on the War Factory units, so I think he may have only had 2 harvesters to begin with. I'm not 100% sure, but relatively equal exchange at any rate. We'll have to see if Futurama can carve out some space for himself to recover. Nothing queued up, so no additional power plant on the way for Futurama. A little bit of a difficult start for him. There's the additional harvesters coming on out for BikeRush. Almost up to his 5 that he's looking for. 3 bikes now swinging in for BikeRush, causing more problems for Futurama. His forces are elsewhere on this map. The Scorpion tanks were not nearby, so the response is a little bit slow. BikeRush does lose one of the bikes, but he trades it out for 1 bike of Futurama, so he is going to be fine with that. He hasn't really caused too much lost mining time. He hasn't caused too many problems. Just now queuing something up is Futurama. MCV going to be taking a little bit of damage, not a big deal. Refinery should be coming down from BikeRush relatively soon. He's got all of his harvesters up. Could cancel whatever's there to get his refinery out just a smidge sooner. Decides not to, though. Second War Factory out for Futurama. That's why he's not building anything over here. He went and double War Factory at his base. BikeRush realizes this, drops the Hand of Nod as a response. Of course, these guys aren't Black Hand, but still drops the Hand of Nod. Going to be a little bit of a man spam response. Power plant follow-up. I almost thought that was a second Hand of Nod going down. I was like, wow, he's really worried, but no, it's a power plant, so going to be playing fairly standard. Could be a refinery follow-up for Futurama. Kind of trying to stabilize and standardize. 1.03 laser turrets coming up. Eats up 1 Scorpion tank. Does not get the kill on that buggy. The rocket does impact the buggy, taking it almost to death, but not quite. 3 more bikes from BikeRush here in the north. And they are going to catch this harvester almost immediately as it spawns. Yes, they do pull in. They do go for the attack, and they are going to see that And that is a fresh load of green Tiberium that BikeRush is putting under threat. Now, keep in mind, here in the south, Futurama is attacking the main base of BikeRush, but he is getting pushed back. So BikeRush, with 2 very clear Harvester kills, in the advantage over Futurama for the start of this game. As they get into a very delayed mid-game, as they get into very delayed natural expansions, BikeRush will have that bit of an advantage over Futurama for the rest of this game. BikeRush using those laser turrets and his bikes to respawn back at his main base. That's the difference between him and Futurama, is these laser turrets. And after playing, Kane's Wrath for 100 years and never building laser turrets because they just weren't worth it in 1.02, having them worth it in 1.03 is a bit of change of pace. But again, people have 100 years of habits of playing Kane's Wrath. It's going to be rocket squads as the defensive move for Futurama. BikeRush going for a second laser turret here in the south. He really wants to keep this base safe. And I mean, can you blame him? He's been doing nice little bits of damage to Futurama. As long as he only loses a couple of bikes here and there, he's going to be fine. And Bike not going crazy with aggression. Sometimes we see BikeRush, the stereotype of BikeRush is the guy who has a crazy aggressive streak almost to a fault, but somehow makes it work. That's kind of what he was known for, especially back in 2013, 2014 kind of days. But this is a much more even-keeled kind of game. He's not teching up too quickly. Again, Scorpion tanks, rocket squads, buggies, and bikes, all relatively cheap Tier 1 units. A little bit of a bike-buggy engagement here. Futurama engages with just the buggies, so BikeRush is going to be able to clean those up. And without the buggies to tank, the bikes are pretty much useless against this kind of an army. So BikeRush cannot, or Futurama cannot engage there. He can't really strike out. Oh, Futurama jump inside of that tower. I assume, yeah, that has got a couple of cyan logos on it. BikeRush has grabbed his own defensive tower outside of his third base, not the expansion point, though. Militant Squad and some rockets going to be engaging with the Tier 1 vehicle forces of Futurama. Bikes once again swinging in for Bike. Where are the defensive forces? Futurama has a lot of Harvesters here, and the damage is split across them, so none of the Harvesters actually go down. Only one Bike manages to escape. Futurama now will finally grab this defensive tower, jumps inside of there, and they have now completely mirrored each other in terms of, he drops his own seed Tiberium directly on top of that refinery, and there is going to be a dead refinery. Oh, wait, no, this is 1.03, so it doesn't actually kill the refinery. Oopsie daisy. Well, that's annoying. I guess what would be really great is a couple of Scorpion tanks to follow that up. BikeRush getting free damage off. This is a terrible engagement for Futurama. BikeRush had the preset movement there for those Scorpion tanks to be able to punch in on the right side as the radar jamming missile goes off. BikeRush gets the laser capacitor upgrade, but he takes a bunch of damage from those bikes, but also from this defensive tower, going to be able to eliminate one or two of these Scorpion tanks and get some other ones very low on health. Futurama unpacks his MCV. BikeRush pushing in, but this attack can't be held off can't continue for very much longer against the potential defensive structures from that MCV, but also these avatars as they stomp their way to the front lines. EMP Control Center could be something nice. BikeRush has a Black Hand Squad. He's sold off his Tier 2 and his Tier 3. So as he's transitioning into his third base, he's not interested in avatars. He is interested, now that he's got the upgrades, he's not interested in avatars. He's just interested in those upgraded Tier 1 units. There is going to be the response. So a direct hit will still nuke a refinery, but if you hit in front of the refinery, then the refinery will survive. So it's a very small radius to actually be able to kill off a refinery. Reverse moving into these avatars ordinarily would be a bad idea, but this is enough laser capacitor to zap down these avatars and eliminate them. The rocket squads do clean up most of the Venoms. There is still one Venom still in the sky, and avatars closing in from the south for Futurama. Goodbye Tier 3, goodbye a couple of power plants as BikeRush is trying to find some kind of route to escape. He might actually just be Warth diving on these harvesters and getting as many of them as he can. This army is not going to necessarily accomplish a whole lot. Oh, he's giving away a couple of Scorpion tanks there on the right side, and he does have a bit of an opening, going to be able to target down 1 or 2 power plants. 1 or 2 harvesters may also go down. I guess he doesn't have stealth detection mixed in with this army, so the harvesters are actually invisible to these Scorpion tanks, and they do manage to pull out, they do manage to escape, and BikeRushOwnz has bought himself a good amount of time to get his own third base up and running. Venom's showing up here, one of them very low on health. Couple of laser turrets could go down to defeat these Scorpion tanks. Where's the MCV? It doesn't really have any base defenses queued up for BikeRush. Slow on the response, and while BikeRush was potentially delaying the third base of Futurama, Futurama is now doing that exact same thing to BikeRush and causing BikeRush to not actually be able to harvest from his third field, which he did, you know, spend a lot of cash on these refineries, getting all of these harvesters over here to be able to utilize this third field, and he can't do anything about it. One harvester could be going down here. Futurama doesn't quite dive on it. I think that was a reverse move bug that killed those last 2 Scorpion tanks as Futurama reverses the rest of his tanks out of there. And this double war factory repositioned it a little bit here to be a slightly further south for Futurama. That is going to be, I guess, the focus of his production. He's back into laser capacitor Scorpion tanks. He doesn't have the dozer blade upgrade, so they're a little bit inferior to BikeRush's Scorpion tanks, but he does also have these couple of avatars, 4 avatars stomping around the map, which will give him a huge amount of firepower, but also just a lot of tanking ability. And no EMP coils on these buggies either. Of course, keep in mind he did lose the Tier 3 a while ago, but the Tier 2 is still here. There's the MCV over here at the third field for Futurama. He's bouncing back. 3 refineries on this field for BikeRush, so he wants to harvest this field up quickly. He wants to just vacuum it up. And, oh no, these couple of Scorpion tanks pathing the wrong way onto the high ground are going to be just given away accidentally there by BikeRush. Futurama moving in with his own Scorpion tank army here on the right side of the map. There aren't a lot of forces for BikeRush to respond. He does have a number of laser turrets here to try and deal with these Scorpion tanks, and they do get a couple of kills in combination with these rocket squads, but really, he needs to get some more stealth detection so he can deal with these harvesters more quickly. 2 harvesters explode. A third should also be going down, but now the laser turrets are actually holding him off. BikeRush is just melting through the forces and the bases of Futurama, and he does eliminate all of that infrastructure, but he has not cracked the high ground. The high ground still remains for Futurama, and this last harvester is going to be going down. BikeRush and Futurama trading blows on opposite sides of the map. These last 2 harvesters for BikeRush, there are 2 more down here on the further low ground, but they're trying to escape the laser capacitor forces of Futurama. Buggies, Venoms, and Scorpion tanks trying to close in, but BikeRush can maybe sandwich this army. He doesn't actually have enough forces to stop the retreat of Futurama's forces, but if Futurama stops for a moment, then he's going to be trapped by these Scorpion tanks. He's going to lose everything here. He's trading out for 2 harvesters. He doesn't even get the second harvester, and he's going to lose all of these Scorpion tanks. Everything going down here, and the last Scorpion tank for Futurama falls. BikeRushOwnz squashes that attack finally. It took him a long time to finally get around to killing off that attack, and this Black Hand squad cleans up a power plant and a war factory, kind of forcing them to sell off before finally going down. BikeRush and Futurama have beaten each other until just about an inch of their lives. Triple War Factory, the response for Futurama. A couple of harvesters queued up. As you can see, he manually sent that one over there, but there's already 2 more harvesters ready to go and unload their Tiberium, so these guys have a real problem with unloading Tiberium. Thousands and thousands of credits inside of those harvesters, unable to be refined by Futurama or BikeRush, and we may be in a situation they've kept these tip spikes around for so long that they actually may end up capturing each other's tip spikes. We see engineers from Futurama doing just that, not on the way for BikeRush. No, they're actually already out on the map, and this one laser capacitor Venom trying to do a bit of damage, and he didn't actually manage to grab the snipe on those engineers. BikeRush Is he trying to intercept? No, his Scorpion Tank army is headed a little bit further south. He's going to try and deal with the Scorpion Tank army of Futurama. He also has Dozer Blades at this point, so it's just a numbers game. Whoever's got more or whoever's got the better angle of engagement. And a second engineer actually goes down, so that's going to be a little bit of an advantage for BikeRushOwnz. Small edges. That's the name of the game for BikeRushOwnz. Never the big win, never the single kill, never the just like throat cut and you're dead. It's death by 1,000 cuts this game. Little wins like this. Three Tiberium spikes for BikeRush. Slightly faster refineries for BikeRush. A little bit more harvesters, a little bit more quickly for BikeRush. But Futurama has been going neck and neck with him the whole game long. Both of them playing Nod, but with very slightly different approaches. Futurama attempting to tech up early, BikeRush teching only for the upgrades to his tank spam units. And now the Avatar's leading the charge. It would be nice to come along with a couple of engineers behind this army. Oh, Panic Fanatics as BikeRush is looking to swing things into his favor purely with these Fanatics moving in, and Mind Drop going to get directly on top of this army. There's the stop move command, but then he resumes, taking pretty big damage, but not massive damage on these Scorpion Tanks. BikeRush can't deal with the Avatars. 3 of them pretty good health, 1 of them close to death, but the Fanatics don't even get that many kills as Rocket Squad's now going to be used to try and respond to this army. But again, the Avatars standing strong against BikeRush's forces, although at the same time in the north, BikeRush moving in. Oh, it's just buggies. It's just laser capacitor buggies. BikeRush still may be able to make this a win. He may be able to surround this army and slowly bleed it to death in a war of attrition. But in a straight-up engagement, Futurama was winning. Now a lot of his units are badly battered and bruised, and 3 of these Avatars are in danger of becoming just husks for BikeRush to capture, and that would swing things into the favor of BikeRushOwnz. Fanatics once again impacting these Avatars, but the husks survive. Futurama needs to kill the husks, but so many of his Scorpion Tanks are so low on health. Fully heroic rocket squads on the front line for BikeRush. That is how much value he is managing to get out of his units. As you can see, Futurama targeting down a couple of these husks here, but there's still going to potentially be 3 husks remaining. No, now 2 husks remaining for Futurama as BikeRush with 4 hands of Nod trying to deal with this army, and more Fanatics actually dealing with these buggies fairly well, totally exploding them. Futurama has been able to escape a little bit here as he's trying desperately to deal with the last straggling forces of BikeRushOwnz with his own straggling forces. More Fanatics powering forward. Some of them do go down before exploding, and the engineer gets sniped by Futurama. BikeRush trying to secure that husk, but Futurama is not letting him. Another engineer getting sniped, making up for those losses earlier on for Futurama, and BikeRush has been defeated here in the south, but he's not necessarily out of this game. Never turn your back on BikeRush, and never think that he's dead, because the moment you think he's dead, that's when he backstabs you with 20 Scorpion Tanks that you don't know how he actually produced. There's actually still a lot of Tiberium on this map for BikeRushOwnz. This husk unclaimed by anyone. It could be a key unit to try and turn the tide. And yeah, Shredder turrets are nice, but they don't have charged particle beam. They don't have supercharged particle beam. They're just boring old Shredder turrets, and they don't really do anything against this Avatar, against these forces. BikeRush may be able to take down this one Avatar. It's at half health. Are the crushes going to be here for Futurama? He is going to be able to bleed this Avatar with these laser capacitors, slowly but surely working away at it. And Futurama may just barely not have enough, but at the same time, if BikeRush tries to walk across the map, I don't know that he has enough to kill Futurama. These two guys kind of in that awkward, can't quite end the game phase, as they may have to kind of back off. Futurama is not actually backing off. I don't know that he can attack into a defensive position BikeRush. He's going to pull back. He's going to get some repairs. He's going to leave 3... No, okay, he did pull those Scorpion Tanks back. I almost was worried that he was going to leave 3 of those. Oh, something happened up here. That MCV taking a lot of damage, but everything else has been cleaned up. Futurama grabbing back that Tib Spike. BikeRush with the 3 Tib Spike advantage for a long time. He's going to lose another engineer. I think that's the 4th engineer that Futurama has sniped. And these 3 power plants, a totally vulnerable position for Futurama to attack, but he hasn't actually been able to run over there and kill them. He has gotten close a couple of times, but he hasn't quite been able to seal the deal and kill those power plants, and that's just allowing BikeRush to not rebuild those power plants. It's allowing BikeRush to spend the cash of rebuilding those power plants on army units, and now he's going to be forced to do that. That was almost literally all of BikeRush's power plants in this game. BikeRush's MCV, I don't know where it is. No way he lost that MCV, right? Oh my gosh, BikeRush doesn't have an MCV. I'm guessing he had to try and sell it off to make this game happen. A lot of Scorpion tanks from Futurama. He's going to be moving in on the base of BikeRush. And at the same time, BikeRush is moving in on the base of Futurama. The difference is Futurama has escaped with his MCV down to the south, back to his original main base. Or I guess that was BikeRush's original main base. BikeRush's spawning location. Futurama is going to try and eliminate BikeRush's base before BikeRush eliminates Futurama's base. I guess the difference is BikeRush has some units responding to Futurama. He's got the double War Factory production. He's still managing to pump out a couple of rocket squads, a couple of Scorpion tanks. Futurama will be able to overwhelm these forces if he targets them down. But for now, BikeRush is getting a couple of extra kills with his Scorpion tanks and his buggies. One War Factory finally goes down. Futurama rebuilding. He's got a refinery down here in the south, but not necessarily a whole lot else. BikeRush may not actually realize that that's where Futurama went. If he realized that, he probably could have dived on that base and just killed it off. BikeRush forced to sell off 2 of those refineries, a third one almost going to be going down, and I cannot believe that BikeRush, this is pretty much it. He just has to keep this stuff alive. He's got his power plants. He's got so many harvesters, but nowhere to actually send them. Any harvesters with Tiberium are just dead. They're dead weight. They're going to absorb shots. Futurama, he's rebuilt his Hand of Nod. He actually has 2 Hands of Nod. May even be worth getting a third one because he's got so much cash. BikeRush is going to be able to crush through this army. And now BikeRush just needs to turn left. He needs to walk across the map. And it may actually be worth going up to Fanatics. I believe you need the Operations Center, right? It's been so long since I even built Fanatics. But, you may need the Operations Center, and it may actually be worth it. Okay, so he gets out the War Factory. This is going to be a scrappy defense. BikeRushOwnz is bringing the harvesters for the crushes, and that is the thing that he needs because the man spam makes sense as a defensive move. Laser turret, a second one should be queued up, but it's not. Another laser turret could be the key between living and dying. The War Factory goes down, but another Scorpion tank manages to sneak on out. The Scorpion tanks need to be very careful here. He needs to pull back. He doesn't pull back. It's just it. There's nothing left for Futurama. He's got a barracks. He's got another laser turret, but it's maybe too little too late. The MCV gets targeted down. Can he do it with just a Hand of Nod? I think the answer is no. I think the crush is just going to be a little bit too powerful. BikeRushOwnz, can he target down the Hand of Nod? Yes, he can. And that is it. He can just outweight Futurama. I think he can crush with the harvesters, and he doesn't ever have to fight the base defenses directly. Oh my gosh, these tanks are so low on health. If Futurama had even just a couple more tanks. Oh man, Futurama losing this game by an inch. By barely an inch does he lose that game. BikeRushOwnz, by the skin of his teeth, managing to beat out Futurama in just an incredible Nod v Nod. A lot of Scorpion tank spam, and if that is not your jam, then this was not a good replay for you. But what an entertaining back and forth game down to the last moment, and Futurama narrowly losing out that game. Pretty even overall, only 3,000 credits of difference spread across 23 minutes, and relatively even climbing from both of these guys. What a weird game back and forth with the base trade and the swapping sides. But in the end, BikeRushOwnz manages to clinch the victory. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed this match, and thank you very much for watching. This is Sybert, signing out.